Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all having a great day and that you are all doing well. To start things off with some potentially incredibly amazing awesome news. Code for Ethereum's highly anticipated proof-of-stake blockchain is on course to be finalized as early as sometime next month. In a bi-weekly call between Ethereum developers, Ethereum Foundation researcher Justin Drake said that code specifications for the first phase of Ethereum's transition to a proof-of-stake network were on track to be finalized by the 30th of June. Such specifications are effectively blueprints for developers looking to work on Ethereum's next-generation blockchain. He said, "I've been continuing to fine-comb Phase 0 in preparation for the spec freeze, which we're targeting for the 30th of June. We're still very much on track. Still, code simplifications are coming through, which is great, and the process of fine-combing is also for finding final bugs. Ethereum has been inching towards a major upgrade for a very long time, dubbed Ethereum 2.0, which would radically change how the $17 billion network creates blocks and verifies transactions, as explained by founder Vitalik Buterin in a recent interview. Ethereum 2.0 has two major flagship components. The first one is Casper, which is our proof-of-stake algorithm, which replaces mining with something that we consider to be more efficient. The second part is sharding, which is this massive scalability improvement, which happens because you don't need every computer in the network to process every transaction in the network anymore." Buterin added that with sharding, he anticipates a 1,000 factor increase in scalability to the network. However, sharding will only come in later two phases of Ethereum 2.0 rollout. The first phase, dubbed Phase 0, strictly launches Ethereum's new proof-of-stake blockchain. This is a very long time coming. We had no information as far as a set date before. Hopefully that they stay, really hopefully that they stay on course for the 30th of June. As for the finalization of it, if everything goes as planned and everything goes well and they say, yes, we have finalized it, everything is working, we have been doing this for the past 2 years, looking over the code to make sure that everything is correct, and they implement this sometime by autumn, things will change very rapidly in the cryptocurrency space, because a lot of coins, or rather, in the simplest form, a lot of people have been waiting for Ethereum to move to proof of stake for a very long time. I hope that they actually get this correct. Like, really, really hope that they get this correct, because the idea is that a lot of people will start buying up as much Ethereum as possible in order to be able to stake their coins on the network, to be able to create more coins, and therefore also to protect the network. But we're expected to see a huge squeeze, or what's the opposite of squeeze? I guess you can say squeeze. In the amount of coins that are actually out there, there's going to be a lot less Ethereum or Ether floating around. We have never had a date before. It's always been, we're going to get it. There's going to be a time. They told us 2018. I assume something went awry, amiss. Something did not work out exactly how they were planning on it. Maybe they just simply took the opportunity of having a prolonged bear market to be able to really look through the code once again. So hopefully by the end of next month, we should I want to say it would be nice to hear from them before, but I'm going to be patient. Hopefully by the end of next month, we hear from the Ethereum team on the 30th of June. We're done. It's good. Now we just have to put it on the network. I am incredibly excited for this. And I mean, yeah, since we're all here, why not? I'll say it in the video. I was talking to a couple of friends, and I was listening to a couple of podcasts, and we were discussing the proof of stake world and stuff like that, and how I realized that this is not financial advice, that I probably should be picking up a few more Ether at least every single month, trying to get 1, 2, or 3, if not 4 every single month, because I don't expect prices to remain this low forever, especially for Ethereum, especially when we get to other news that I have. And eventually, especially because of the price predictions that we are seeing for Ethereum, because of the usage of the network and also the limited amount of Ether that will be floating around out there. People are, depending on where you look, are calling for anywhere from a $4,000 to $10,000 Ether during the next bull run. That is also $150,000 Bitcoin pending, i.e. Bitcoin is 150,000, Ethereum hitting anywhere from 4 to 10,000. Seems believable. Anyway, let's move on. So I tried to find like really strong information about this. I guess there really wasn't a proper press release, if you will. This happened a couple days ago. Like I said, I was trying to find more information on it. Anyway, the EOS REX deployment has now been approved. The REX for EOS is a CPU and network resource rental market. EOS users can rent CPU and network resources from the REX pool. Numerous REX interface support Scatter, Ledger, plus more wallets. In order to use the REX, Users must vote for at least 21 block producers. And here's the rest of the information from this actual Medium post. But I was looking for something more from the Block One people or EOS IO, something a little bit more official. Here's the actual REX. A lot of people have been, if you pay attention to EOS at all in some sort of way, you probably know exactly what the REX is or have heard about it and maybe are even using it at this point. Apparently, this has been, I don't want to say a long time coming, but a lot of people have been very excited for this because it says EOSREX.io is a free-to-use, user-friendly interface to the EOS mainnet's REX smart contract where users can lend EOS to the pool to earn a share of the pool's income, unlend EOS from the pool to get your EOS back plus a profit, borrow CPU and net resources for 30 days at current rates, and manage borrowed resources, REX maturities, and more. So the idea is, from when I tried listening to the podcast, I think it's called Everything EOS, and they were talking about it before, and the way that they mentioned it, it seemed to be like this. The entire idea behind it is that you can lend your EOS to other people who need your resources, to other people who need your CPU power, whatever the actual case might be. You can lend it to them, and you get paid, I assume, in EOS for what you have done. So this increases movement of the token. This increases the use case of the token. There's a lot of different things, but like I was looking, like I said, I was looking for a more, what have you, I'm not going to read through all of this, not a chance. For those who are wondering about it, you can definitely go to EOSREX.io. You'll be able to read through all of this stuff because I assume they kind of explain it a bit more in depth. However, there was a lot of energy and movement around this, so it's nice to see that it's finally up. Obviously, there are no numbers here moving because I have not started doing this. Anyway, let's move on. Next up, one of the United Kingdom's most senior lawyers said in a speech on the 2nd of May that cryptocurrency and smart contract use will inevitably begin, but regulations are needed. Addressing the University of Liverpool School of Law and the Northern Chancery Bar Association, Sir Geoffrey Voss, Chancellor of the High Court, dedicated time to exploring necessary changes in order for smart contracts and crypto assets to become widespread. He said, "My starting point is to ask why smart contracts have taken so long to become ubiquitous." He continued by saying, "We've been discussing how and when they may take over the world of mainstream financial services for several years, yet they never seem to be making a breakthrough into reality." Voss has revealed himself to be an advocate of technological reform in the legal sector, noting in a 2008 speech that the UK legal system was primed to cope with innovation. This week's pitch repeated the idea, and Voss advocating the fact that the use of smart contracts was a matter of when, not if. There have been a couple of countries who have been coming forward. Timing doesn't even make sense anymore for a lot of the things. I feel like a lot of these people are just talking with each other on the phone, and then at some point they decide to kind of release the same or similar information. We're getting a lot of, remember in 2018 and the end of 2017, there was a huge push against ICOs and smart contracts, and I mean anything that had to do with anything else was seen as a scam in the cryptocurrency space. The last 2 weeks, there's been a huge amount of interest by governments around smart contracts and also finding a way to legalize ICOs or STOs as well, because they're figuring out that these are going to be the ways of making money and the ways of transacting. And it's also really interesting as well, if you were paying attention to the last video I did or the one before that, where we were talking about how I think it was Harvard, how they're now having courses for students to learn how to deal with defending against AI inside of an actual courtroom. So this is why I think the smart contracts and the entire thing is very interesting, because we also saw a day or two ago that I think things that are on a blockchain are now legally viable, I think in Washington State in America. It's very interesting to see how all of this is developing, how it's all flowing out. A couple of years ago, if you had told me any of this would be happening, I would have told you definitely no. We still have a couple more years. It's fascinating because when you get into the cryptocurrency space, you only seem to focus on the coins, the prices, and not exactly the idea that governments are going to be integrating all of this into their systems. And this is why I keep saying that crypto is not going anywhere, because we're entering a hyper digitized world that's going to kind of take over everything. Anyway, I find this incredibly fascinating because a couple of years from now, the idea is that we'll all be using blockchain without really knowing that we're even using blockchain. It's like when you go online on your phone, you're not thinking, I'm using the internet. This was created in 1964. It's kind of the same exact thing like that. Anyway, let's move on. Oh yeah, here's the Here's the actual thing that guy, Sir Geoffrey Voss, actually spoke about and wrote about. Of course, we're not going to read through the entire thing. Here's a very interesting one pertaining to exactly what I was talking about with Ethereum. Amazon posted something, the Amazon Web Services, about how they are, or rather you are now able to create and manage scalable blockchain networks with generally available Amazon managed blockchain. What's really interesting is apparently that all of this is being worked through Ethereum or will eventually be flowing through Ethereum. It says Amazon has said that Ethereum is well suited for highly distributed blockchain networks where transparency of data for all members is important. They gave the example of a customer loyalty blockchain network that allows any retailer in the network to independently verify a user's activity across all members to redeem benefits. In a press release, Amazon said that the businesses can set up a blockchain network spanning multiple AWS accounts, and the management console AMB supports two frameworks, a business choice of Ethereum or the Hyperledger Fabric. The former is the fruit of the combined labors of IBM and the Linux Foundation, part of the Hyperledger project, which features as part of the IBM blockchain a performance as a service offering. It must also be noted that Ethereum isn't actually supported yet, with a plan schedule to come online in the summer. They said Amazon managed blockchain will be used to easily create and manage scalable blockchain networks. The new service will launch on Hyperledger Fabric today, with Ethereum coming soon. Ethereum's not going anywhere anytime soon. I wonder exactly how this is all going to play out, because just a couple of months ago, the market was incredibly, or rather more bearish towards Ethereum than I think that it currently is today. We're seeing a lot of news starting to pick up. This was a really big thing in the end of 2017, like maybe the first 2 months of 2018, where we were constantly seeing governments supporting or announcing that they were going to be doing stuff on top of Ethereum. For those of you who remember, you can even type in like Russia Ethereum or Vitalik Buterin Russia like trip or something like that. There was a video online, I'm pretty sure it's still there as well, where you can see Vitalik Buterin, like he's being courted through Russia, and they're showing him their computers and their offices and stuff like that, because I'm fairly certain that I remember the news that Russia was planning on writing their laws and stuff on top of Ethereum. Part of the issue that I think is what happened is that Ethereum was supposed to have been upgraded in 2017, and then they said 2018, and now this is why this is very significant that we have news by the 30th of June that the beginning of the upgrades will begin to happen. So what this all comes down to is, especially if you've paid attention before or have ever seen the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, you can Google it for those who have no idea what it is. It's pretty much a conglomerate association, corporation of at least 500 companies right now who have all come together to announce that they are either going to be using the Ethereum blockchain or that they're going to find some way to support it through their systems, activity, whatever the actual case might be. There's, everyone has their own idea of what they plan on doing with Ethereum, what they plan on writing on top of Ethereum, but Ethereum is poised right now to become something absolutely massive, and this is why I think it's very interesting. I think people are, how do I say this? When we get really good news, before in 2017 and even 2016, if we had news that Amazon in any way had even mentioned the word Ethereum, the price of Ether would have gone up at least by 20%. I understand that the market's more mature, there's more people in the market, but I think a lot of people aren't really paying attention to the news that we're getting for actual adoption that's going to happen. Like a lot of stuff that we had last year and even the year before that was, maybe one day Amazon will, accept Ether. Maybe one day so-and-so will add Bitcoin onto their thing. Maybe one day, so-and-so is going to add XRP. And it's like, we know that these things are going to happen now. Like this isn't like a fake thing. Like you can actually find the actual press release right here from Amazon where they're actually talking about Ethereum and in the future how they're going to be using Ethereum as well. Like it's plainly obvious, at least to me. I think a lot of the blockchain projects that we see right now, a lot of the blockchains themselves, a lot of the tokens are incredibly undervalued. And I think that this is only because, once again, a lot of people don't, in my opinion, this is me, my brain, a lot of people don't move unless rich people tell them to move. I think a lot of what we saw in 2017 from the market actually going up was other people seeing that the price of Bitcoin had hit $5,000, had hit $10,000. And I'm pretty sure all of you did, or at least a lot of you did, because I definitely had a lot of family members asking me what Bitcoin and so was so that they could also buy into it. It's only when prices reach a certain number that everyone else is seemingly more interested into it, as opposed to getting into it when the prices are low. This is why I mentioned before, people were waiting for a $50 Ethereum. People were waiting for a $800 and $1,200 Bitcoin, and I'm like, why are you waiting? Like, it's especially as prices have been going up the last couple of days and weeks. Like isn't Bitcoin up like over 40% or something like that since the beginning of this year? Like, if you believe in these technologies, or more so if you can read and you see that all of these corporations, like really, like Google Enterprise Ethereum Alliance for yourself, and like there should be a tab at the very top that says members. Look through all of the companies who have announced that they're going to be supporting or using Ethereum. It's not just like 3 companies anymore. It's the same exact thing when I talk about XRP. It's like, we know that they have partnerships with 200 companies. We know that there are multiple hundreds of companies who are going to be using Ethereum, and we know that Bitcoin is being integrated into just about everything all over the place. We get news at least 19 times a week that this new hotel is accepting Bitcoin, that this place is accepting Bitcoin. You can now pay your taxes in Bitcoin. You can get paid from your taxes in Bitcoin. It's just this really weird motion that's going on, where I still fear that a lot of people are waiting for dips in the market to happen, and they're only going to start throwing their money back into the market when it's too expensive for them to even get stuff that they wanted before. Anyway, this is simply how I feel about it. We know for a fact that Amazon is going to be using Ethereum in the future. We know that there are hundreds of other companies who are also backing the initiative. And the moment that Ethereum has its other upgrades, probably by the beginning of 2020, somewhere around that time frame, and Ethereum is able to handle over 1 million transactions per second because of Plasma and because of sharding and because of all this other stuff, this is when everybody's going to try and get it. And I'm waiting for the moment, for 2 reasons. I'm waiting for Ethereum to hit $2,000 because $2,000. And I'm also waiting for people to throw as much money as possible into Ethereum, realizing in the back of their heads, I should have got into it when it was around $150 because the price was cheaper then. This is just something that goes through my head when I go about the day. To kind of finish things off, I think this is something very important, and I'm seeing this more and more happening around the world. I have my own ideas about it. The Central Bank of Myanmar has urged consumers to stop trading cryptocurrencies amid fears that inexperienced users could lose money. Southeast Asian news outlet the Irrawaddy reported yesterday. In a statement obtained by the website, the central bank said it had received reports of several scams targeting those who lack understanding about virtual currencies. Authorities in Myanmar, also known as the Burma, say the likes of Bitcoin, Ether, and Litecoin are being traded in the country through Facebook profiles, as well as who would trade crypto on Facebook? According to the report, who does that? According to the report, the central bank has stressed that the use of crypto is unauthorized in Myanmar. However, the country does not have any mechanisms or legal frameworks in place to regulate or block their use. U Tan Luin, a former deputy governor at the central bank, told Irrawaddy that price volatility, the lack of consumer protection, and the difficulty of taking legal action were 3 reasons why investing in cryptocurrency should be avoided. I'm not going to even read through the rest because I'm... Where do I begin? I'm noticing in a lot of countries, this is my opinion, this is how I feel, that could greatly benefit from even regulations on cryptocurrencies to allow their people to use them, are going to fall very far behind very, very fast. There's a lot of fear that's happening around the world right now, and part of the problem that I have with this is that I'm almost certain, I don't know for sure, but something's telling me in the back of my head, we're seeing a handful, 2 handfuls of central banks around the world who are urging people in their countries to not use cryptocurrencies because of problems that other people are having, as opposed to having something and coming forward and saying, well, these people had problems because they fell for a scam. These people had problems because they thought it was smart to trade cryptocurrency through Facebook or whatever the other case might be. There's a huge problem where people know how to scam and people realize that they can scam you very easily, and it kind of ruins it for everybody else. And this only puts extra weight behind central banks, central governments, whatever you kind of want to call them, to be able to tell their people in their country, hey, you shouldn't be doing this. This happened. It's scary. It's dangerous. You've never seen this before. We've never seen this before. We have no plans to regulate it. We don't want you to use it. Therefore, you would take away our power if you used it. It's just a very weird thing. So this is the entire thing that we've been seeing over the last year, and this is, I think, why it's such a shame, because I think that the countries who are doing the most for it are obviously going to be I want to say the most well-off, the richest. I can't even put a proper phrase on it. Not only are you many countries banning cryptocurrencies, but they're not even educating themselves. And this is the part of the problem that I have, is that a couple of weeks ago, remember that other news story that we had where the regulator in some country, I can't remember the name of the country, where he openly said, he was like, oh, I didn't know that cryptocurrencies were still a thing. And he thought that they had completely disappeared. That country had waited the last 3 years. 3 years they waited to give any type of regulatory anything for cryptocurrencies so that people within their country could actually use them. And they took their time, and it's just a very perplexing thing, and I don't like it because I'm fairly certain, and I've mentioned this before, rich people run in rich circles. All the rich people know each other. You may think I'm lying. I promise you this is exactly how it works. They all know each other around the world. There's like a huge network of just rich people who go to the same events, same parties. They all know each other, whatever the case might be. They're in the same circles. When you hear, as a banker or as a rich person or as anyone, like whatever the case might be, that the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, the US so-and-so, the Switzerland, blah, 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 everyone's getting into the cryptocurrency space, I'm fairly certain that the people who probably told their people within the country to not use cryptocurrencies have probably been buying cryptocurrencies themselves, as even just like a just in case. Should the prices go up, they'll still do fine. Should prices go down to zero, it's fine because these people are already rich. But they deter people within their country from actually using them. They scare the living crap out of them, and it causes this really weird distrust where people should be figuring out that they should be buying up cryptocurrencies, especially like a lot of the scams that are happening as well. And this is the part that I find the most perplexing. This is why BitConnect and all that other stuff happened. And please pay attention to where you put your money. This isn't even a joke. A lot of the scams that are happening are telling you, not you specifically, telling a person to invest their money into the actual, like a website, and this website will have a fund, and this fund will pay you out every single month, and this so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. It's always like a something of a something. These scams never tell you to buy Bitcoin, and then they give you the Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin is yours. It's always like, you give us money, we'll hold it for you. We'll show you on a screen exactly how much money is being made. There was something I was watching a couple of weeks ago. My friend sent it to me, and I was completely flabbergasted is the only word I can actually think of right now. He was showing me in Russia, there was like a huge event. People in beautiful dresses and nice suits and corsages and beautiful hats, all this other stuff. And everyone's walking around drinking champagne. And at the front of the stage, when they all sat down, there was a guy telling them to invest in this new coin. It was called, like, I can't remember what it was called. It was like Bitmite or Bitbomb. It was like, it was something completely insane. And all these people by the end of it had given this man millions of dollars because they believed, because they were told that this was going to be the next Bitcoin. This was going to be the next big thing. They had heard from someone else who told them behind the scenes, who had created this, who had been talking with someone else, that this was going to be the new coin, and this is what people end up putting their money into. So I'm fairly certain that people within that country are definitely got into something like that. And this is, educate yourself. Educate your friends. We all have a friend or family member who has thought about cryptocurrencies, who thought about getting into cryptocurrencies, and they probably have come to you at some point and told you that they heard something about a friend who knew something, somebody who made money, who made so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. And they're going to try and put their money into it. Educate them on what Bitcoin is, educate them on what Ether is, on Litecoin, XRP. Let them understand that these are the coins that are going to be added, that these are the coins that are actually going to make it sometime in the future. That same exact friend who sent me that thing about Russia, he sent me, my goodness, he has a cousin or friend, someone who's close to him. About 2 years ago, when he also got into cryptocurrencies, he was telling this guy, he was like, man, look into Bitcoin, look into Cardano, look into so-and-so and so. His friend, family member was buying up all these other coins that, like coin number 800 and stuff like that, because he was looking for the coins that were the cheapest, like the actual cheapest, not the ones that had the most volume, not the ones that had the most anything else. It was just which coins were the cheapest, because he figured that buying these coins, that they would eventually go up to Bitcoin's price as the market continued to go up. And then he was like, yeah, well, you know, by the end of this, I'm gonna be a millionaire. He was making fun of my friend for not getting into the coins that he was getting into. My friend, luckily, ended up picking up Bitcoin, I think some Ether, maybe some Cardano as well. And he's still doing pretty okay, but his friend doesn't even talk to him about crypto anymore because he lost thousands of dollars that he put into the market because of all these scams that are floating around. At the exact same time, I want to mention this as well. I thought this was very interesting. There's a podcast called Humans of Bitcoin. one, I'm not affiliated. Two, there are a lot of podcasts going on, or I don't know if this is one in particular, but there are a lot of there are a lot of podcasts out there that have the Bitcoin name that are actually Bitcoin Cash podcasts. So watch out depending on where you're stepping, because I've definitely heard some of them like just say Bitcoin Cash openly and then like catch themselves and meant to only say Bitcoin. So anyway, the point is there's a really interesting one right here. I actually listened to this. It came out a couple of days ago. For those of you who are not looking at the screen, the podcast is called Humans of Bitcoin, and the actual podcast to listen to is called Bitcoin Ambassador to West Africa. I can't pronounce this man's name. It was this guy who lives in West Africa, obviously. It was like during an interview type thing that they had going on. And he mentioned that I think within the country that he lives in, I think cryptocurrencies, he said that the central bank of his country said that cryptocurrencies are illegal. And he looked further into it, and they're actually not illegal. It was just the central bank who announced something because they don't want people in the country to actually switch over and start using cryptocurrencies. He said he looked through it, and in his country, in order for things to actually be illegal, you need to have it written in law on a piece of paper, and it has to be public knowledge that this is, in fact, illegal. He said he went around to different restaurants and cafes and was asking them if they knew what Bitcoin was. And they all shook their heads like as if he was telling him something horrible. And they were like, no, we don't use Bitcoin. And they're like, why? He said, why are you so afraid of this? And they said, because the central bank said that it's illegal. And he's like, but it's not illegal. And he showed them all the paperwork, and these people were completely surprised that they had been lied to. So we're seeing this happening a lot around the world, and it makes me once again really upset, because this is how I feel. I'm fairly certain that a lot of the people who are telling other people that these things are illegal, you can't use them, they're dangerous, only criminals use them, are the people who are probably also filling up their pockets as well with cryptocurrencies. It's very, very bad, because we have a fragmented world right now, and part of the issue is that misinformation can be spread very, very fast. And if you really have time, listen to it. You may not live in Africa, you may not live in West Africa, you may not even think of the word Africa on a daily basis. The point is listen to it. It's actually very interesting, because it shows exactly how it doesn't take much effort to hold people down, to kind of put your foot onto their neck. It just takes an announcement that's not even really true. Like, there's been multiple things like this happening around the world where people are being suppressed from their not even the usage of cryptocurrencies, more so learning about it. Like, this is once again why I say there's so many countries who aren't as economically prosperous as the US or Europe might be, who could benefit from this greatly. And the thing that's going to end up happening is, in my opinion, is that as time ends up going on and we do eventually hit a $100,000 Bitcoin or $150,000 Bitcoin, these countries, in a desperate attempt to try and get into this as well, are going to make laws. The laws are going to be constrictive for people within the actual country, the same that we saw within Russia, who they're trying to make laws that only really rich people can actually get into it. They say you have to have, what was it? I think 2 years of knowledge of financial markets, and or have, I think, like over a net worth of, what was it, like near like 10 million or something like that dollars. And besides that, no one else can get into it. This is one of the proposed laws that they had going around. So when the markets do go back up and they're all trying to make these laws as quick as possible, the people who are in the country who could benefit the most are probably not going to even buy into cryptocurrencies, because they may not have heard the press release that it's now legal. They may not have heard that the government says it's okay to get into it, because they're still afraid and they're living in their own little bubble, in their own little world, and not really realizing that if we ever, it's crazy. Think about a world where right now, where Bitcoin's price is 5, 6, whatever, thousand, and Bitcoin's price goes up to $1 million. How many people in countries like this could have benefited completely insane? Like, whatever. I have my own ideas. I get very heated when it comes to topics like this, because there's so much corruption in the world, and I have yet to figure out why it's so difficult for countries to tell their citizens that something might be good for them. Not even buy it. It's read about it. Let's have a story time. Everyone sit down and we're going to actually talk about this. Like, let's have weekly government meetings where the public can actually access this as well. And we all talk about the potential rise of cryptocurrencies, how blockchain can be used, how we can strengthen our country, how we can strengthen our economy, how we should be buying this up before other countries even. It's very odd. I don't get it. I don't think I'll ever get it. I like helping other people, and I guess the opposite of that is what's happening with many countries around the world. Once again, if you have time, listen to this podcast. I sat there. It's incredibly fascinating to hear how the rest of the world is actually evolving, and also just simply not moving forward, because we all know by the time we hit a $100,000 Bitcoin, it's going to be madness. And I know it. The news is going to be filled with news about countries who are allowing it, regulating it. They're going to be working as quick as possible because they realize as well that it'll also be against the law for their rich friends to get into it as well because there's no regulation around it. I'm done. It's just, we live in a very mad world. At the moment, the prices are doing not too bad. We're experiencing an expected pullback from where we were yesterday. Bitcoin's price came, here we go, right here, 24-hour high. It was at $59.15. It's annoying because we were $85 away from hitting the magical $6,000 number. The pullback is expected. A lot of people are afraid. A lot of, I mean, everyone's different. I feel like, imagine a world where people didn't trade back and forth and have losses and just simply bought. Imagine if everybody in the world was simply just buying 1/100th or 1/10th of a Bitcoin because the price is low, like in anticipation of the prices going up, as opposed to constantly selling and having these dips. Imagine if everyone just bought. I live in a very different world than many other people. I understand that people trade to be able to make profits and get an extra so and so. The market is hindered by negative news, which comes down to the fact that there's still people screaming from the top of their ridiculous lungs that the market is going to go down, that Bitcoin is due for a fall down to 3,000. And it's these really weird self-fulfilling prophecies that end up taking place, because if you can get everyone to believe that something is going to happen negatively, it's going to eventually happen because everyone ends up having it in the back of their head. Now, imagine if all the news that we had from all these pro traders, and I'm not naming any names, there are definitely some prominent ones out there who have, I'm not going to say any names, like I said, but if you look back at their 2017, 2018 charts, they were also heavily incorrect as to where the cryptocurrency market was going to go. Imagine if they, stopped being negative and pretty much said, hey, the market's going to go back up, because we've had many indications, many indications from many people, many mega analysts who have said that the bear market is actually over. And there are only a couple of things hindering people, and it comes down to the mentality that they have about the market, thinking that things are going to go negative. If you think that things are going to go bad things are going to happen to you. I think that is definitely going to do it for this video. I would like if the world came together by the end of this weekend and we got over $6,000 so that we could have a nice green week. Bitcoin should, once again, not be lower than $10,000. It makes no sense. After all the adoption, after all the stuff that we've had over the course of 2018, and that we know is coming in 2019, Bitcoin should easily be over $10,000.01. There's no way around that. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening. Wherever you are, wherever you might be, I hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters. They are Professor Wally from Gunbot University, SC Verzely Fine Art, Brady Niels, L. Doug, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, Shaolin Fried Rice, Gilboa Snake, Crypto Joe, Carl Birchenoff, singer-songwriter Mike Savitz, Rai, Yasha Harari, Amy Starsheen, Jeffrey Ramsey, Crypnotic, crypto artist Coldy 3D, Nicholas One Earth, One Piece, One Love, Setsuna, Nick Kanaya, Richie Rich III, RF Dusty, Cody, Vlad the Impaler, Paxis, Jeremy Fox, Jim Gardner, Minting Coins, Arthur Yaku, Nick Mangelavori, and Anthony Charles. Thank you all an incredible amount for your support. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you all very much once again, and I will talk to you all soon. See you.